Welcome to Change, sponsored by the Senior Bond of Schaumburg, where nutritious meals, friendly peers, and social activities are available every day of the week. Under the able direction of Marina Lvovich, who is our guest today, the cost and location are available to all. Today our program is on letter writing. P.S. Please write. We will be tracing what has occurred in the past, near past, and present. I'd like to introduce our panel. We have Roseberry Kolbert, and she was born in Chicago and has lived in the area for many years. She and her husband Dennis have 6 children between them and several grandchildren. She was formerly employed by the railroad. I hope you weren't driving locomotives.
No, but I used to be outside counting the cars.
Oh, I used to do that as a child.
And weighing them.
And we have Sylvia Henfling, who was born in Louisville, Kentucky. Did I say it right? Mm-hmm. And has lived in Florida and Chicago before moving to Hoffman Estates about 50 years ago. She has 4 children, 3 grandchildren, and 1 great-grandchild. And before moving to Chicago, she was a reporter for the St. Petersburg Times in Florida. And then we have Marina Lvovich, who was born in the Ukraine, a long way from home, and has lived in the Buffalo Grove area for many years. She has 2 young children, and at present she is the Senior Services Manager for the village of Schaumburg. And I am Laurie Candle. I was born in Brooklyn, New York, and have lived in Schaumburg for over 45 years. I am a retired teacher. I have 2 siblings, 2 children, 2 grandchildren, 4 granddogs, 1 grand horse, and now recently 4 guppies swimming happily in my fish tank at home. Today is letter writing, and communication by letter writing is an important function of life. It is so important that the Continental Congress appointed Benjamin Franklin the first Postmaster General in 1775. And this office is older than the Declaration of Independence and the United States Constitution. When the latter was ratified and we became a nation, the Postmaster General was actually a member of the President's cabinet and in line for the presidency. Early mail was delivered person to person until it got to its final destination. Stagecoaches and horseback riders sped things up. The Pony Express began in 1860 but was short-lived because of the complexity and the expense. The arrival of the railroad and later the airplane got letters to their destinations faster. Postmen and vehicles aid local delivery today. However, in the country, rural free delivery did not happen until 1896. Congress approved the first postage stamp in 1847. A 5-cent stamp depicted Benjamin Franklin, and a 10-cent stamp depicted Washington. There have been many changes in the cost of stamps, as we know, since then. To make it easier and also to increase revenue, the Post Office issued forever stamps in 2007. Many improvements have come about in recent years. One great improvement was the introduction of the zip codes in 1963. Automation in sorting mail began in the mid-50s and continued to be improved through the year. Today, technology is killing the one thing that generations of Americans have come to know and trust, the United States Postal Service. Email is faster, free, and can be delivered at any time. Revenue is down with many bills being paid and orders being fulfilled through the Internet. In short, the United States Postal Service, as an independent entity, is strapped for cash. Our world is changing, and so are we. In our last show, we talked about communication, radio, television, telephone, etc. Today, we're going to look into writing. And writing begins with letters, which form words, then sentences, paragraphs, possibly stories, and letters. For some, it's a chore. For some, it is an adventure of life, and some even blossom into authors and other careers. Does anybody here remember the first word they wrote? How about the first story?
Well, I remember in first grade, Dick and Jane, that we had that book.
Yeah.
That was how and I remember the lines on the page and how the teacher taught us that we had to keep within that line, and they had the things on the board. And we stayed within the line, and we had to do our letters.
What letter do you remember?
Well, I no, but I would imagine would have to start with A, B, C, D. The A, and then the small
The
A,
basic.
yes, and then the big B, and then the little b. And I remember I tried to be very precise, and I have never changed.
Okay, that is very good. Most of us don't remember back that far, but it's one of those things that's so trivial we just pass it by. Some may remember the penny postcard. Maybe
I
not
do.
Marina. Or the 3-cent stamp.
I do.
In days gone by, sending mail was inexpensive and possibly fun. I'm sure that you did write letters as a youth. To whom did you write, and what was the purpose, Sylvia?
Well, my brother was in World War II, and he was 16 years older than me. So when I was a little kid, I used to just write little letters to him. But then I used to receive mail from him for V mail. V must have stood for victory,
Right.
Which was very interesting. And then I know that when he wrote to that was really something when I got a letter. But he used to write to my parents, and they used to have the officers, because you couldn't put much in there, and they would blank everything out.
Right. Well, we're just about beginning on this, but we're going to take a very short break, and then we're coming back, and we will continue. Alexander Shanna said, letters are expectations packed in an envelope. Let's see what we can expect. Now, you were saying, Sylvia, that you were writing, to your to the veterans, and I think airmail came in, and it was that thin, like onion skin paper.
Oh, yes.
It
Yes.
had to be as thin as possible. Did you have any youthful writing that you did?
As a matter of fact, I don't remember actually writing the letter, but recently I was at my grandmother's house, and I love looking through all the old pictures, and she said, "Do you remember this?" And I said, "What's that, Grandma?" She said, "These are some of the letters that you had written and I saved."
Grandmas are wonderful for that.
She is. Yeah, I'm telling you. And I looked, and I almost just, you get this feeling in your body, little goosebumps coming up, and I just felt a little bit of myself, and I remembered as I read the letter, it was talking about all the things that I was going through in school and things that I had in my personal life, and I was like, why didn't I keep a journal? Why didn't I write more? It's such an insight about who you were, and some of those
Looking
wonderful...
into the past can really bring
Yeah.
But unfortunately, we all grow up.
Yes.
Right.
Our purposes
Hopefully.
and aspirations have changed, and we spoke about sending letters. Now let's change the direction the other way. How do you feel about receiving letters?
Oh, I love it. I'm always thrilled when I receive a letter. I have friends from high school that we still correspond by letter, and every time I get one, it's like, I got a letter, and and it's just a rare feeling that you don't get with the internet, and you don't get with technology.
Right. Do you feel the same way,
Oh,
Sylvia?
yes. I love to receive letters, and you just don't anymore.
Unfortunately.
If I get a thank you letter, I'm so excited, because people don't
yes.
send those out anymore either. So.
Well, I know even birthday cards, you can use Jackie Lawson, and you don't have to go to the store, spend $4 or $5, and have people throw it out. How about you?
Well, I receive a lot of letters, and they're usually bills. But aside from that, some people still do, although not many as the email, as we were talking about. But, you know, when you get invitations and those colorful envelopes, there's something about having something concrete in your hands and knowing that somebody took the time to write it and send it over. There is something special about that. Unfortunately, it's just not as efficient as some of the email or text messages anymore.
Would you rather receive a letter or a phone call, and why?
Oh, that's a tough question. You know, it depends. There is something special about the letter that you can express feelings that sometimes it's hard to do over a phone call. But now with things like Skype, where you can talk to people in different countries and even in other states, and you can see their face and you can see their daily lives and what they're doing.
Well, do you agree with that, Sylvia?
Yes, with a letter, you can go back and read it over again.
Yeah,
So
that's
if you
true.
think you've missed something, it's there.
tangible
Yes,
that's
something
in your
tangible.
hand.
And I always keep them for a while. It's something.
For a while, and then all of a sudden, if you don't tie a little bow around them, they go into the cylindrical file. You know, during times of separation, loved ones sometimes communicate by letter. Did you experience this at any time? With whom and why?
Yes, I did with my first husband. I was in Florida, and his letters came to me in Florida. And that was a feat, even in those days, because he had to send it through the hotel where I was staying, and I was there for 2 weeks. But it was love and bloom, and it had just started, so.
Lovely. Do you have a pink bow around those letters?
No, they're gone. Well, you know what? There might be one lurking someplace. I think, because I'm a picker and saver depending on my mood at the time, you know. But I think I might have a couple someplace.
Very good. How about you, Sylvia?
I met my husband on a blind date. He was from Chicago. I lived in Florida. He came down there to get out of the cold. Saw him for 4 days. Actually, I was in love with him at the end of 4 days. He came back up for about a week, and a letter came in the mail. And I was so excited. I was just so excited. And our romance was long distance. We met in January.
But he had warm hands and he was cold.
I guess.
At the beginning.
We met in January, married in June, but our romance was all through letters.
How about that?
I remember as a little girl going through my grandma's collection of letters that her and my grandfather, when he was in the Army, would write back and forth to each other. And I just remember admiring, I would smell them. I don't know why I did that, but I
Well,
did.
sometimes they were perfumed.
Maybe.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know if
Seal with
it
a
lasted that long.
But
But I remember the penmanship. It was just so beautiful. I always wondered, I'm like, Grandma, how long did it take you? What if you made a mistake? Did you have to write the whole letter all over again?
No, you had a little white out.
You had a little white out.
No, you didn't. No, not in those days. There was no such thing. You had an eraser.
Oh, well, when was the last time any of you picked up a pen to write a letter? When was the last time you remember?
Maybe last month.
When?
Well, you know, see, I contribute to Fence Post. I read Fence Post, and sometimes
Okay, that's in the Herald for those that don't know that.
And I could do it by email, but I still get out my pen and paper and put the stamp. And
Not even a typewriter or a printed
no, I write it out. I write out my cards to my friends. I write letters to my friends. I write. Yeah. In fact, you won't believe this, but I just had a compliment on my penmanship, on my handwriting, and I thought, because I wrote a letter to my friend out in Huntley, and she called and told me what beautiful penmanship I had. And I thought,
That's something
That
that's
is
because
a
it's
compliment.
going to be a rarity soon.
Yes.
Right. How about you? When was the last time?
my 95-year-old sister lives in Atlanta, and she's deaf, so I can't talk to her on the phone. So every 2 weeks, I try to write every week, but it usually turns out every 2 weeks I write to her.
Right, okay. Well, we know that a letter is the most basic yet the most flexible mode of correspondence, regardless of its subject matter. And Scribendi, in his book, How to Write a Letter, had that as a topic. We'll be back in just a few minutes. We'll take a short break. Thank you. usually start the third segment with a little treat that is easily made, and this particular one just takes 3 ingredients. It takes small pretzels, candy kisses, and edible holiday treats. What you do is peel the kisses, place it on a pretzel, microwave it for 45 seconds. Remove and press on the edible treats. Cool in the refrigerator for at least 10 minutes. It's a fun activity to make with your children or grandchildren. Children are older now. Grandchildren are the ones that we want. Okay, today computers are so available, and there are many different ways to communicate rather than pen and paper, and you've mentioned some of them already. What are one of the reasons people use the computer is email? Why is this so?
It's easier. It's
Why?
easier.
In what way?
Well, first off, most people have smartphones, and you can, anywhere you're located, you can send an email or text somebody wherever you are at any time. Sometimes something comes up and you can text somebody in the evening time. They don't have to open it in the evening time, but you can access it wherever you are at any time. Whereas a letter would take more time to get to somebody.
Okay, how about you? Are there any other ways that you communicate rather than email and texting?
Well, by telephone, and
Writing.
Well, I was going to say, no, other ways besides, besides texting. I don't text, and I don't use email that much. I usually just, the only thing about email is, like she said, it's quicker. And if you have a thought and you want to do something real quick, then you do it that way.
And hope people open it up when you send it to them.
Right. But otherwise, anytime I think about something that I want to do and I have the time, I will write. Yes, even if I put it aside even if I put it aside, that this is what I'm going to get to. I'm going to write about this, and I'll put it to the side.
We need people like you. And how about you, Sylvia? Do you do anything beside email and texting?
Well, on the phone, I'm not an email person. I only pull up my email once a day. Sometimes I skip a day, so I miss some messages until the last thing. If I have to get news to somebody, I'll call them and leave a message on their voicemail, because usually they'll pick that up.
We keep bouncing back to the phone. Now I know you use Facebook. Why?
Yes. It's a great way to communicate to people. Let's say you don't have time. Our lives are so busy nowadays, and you don't have time to sit there for an hour and tell all of your friends, oh, this is what's going on in my life. And Facebook allows you to do that through pictures, through little messages back and forth, and people can see what's going on in your life without you having to spend a good chunk of your day talking to each of them on the phone or through other modes of communication.
I even find it sort of a diary with me. If an event has happened, I'll put it on Facebook, and at the end of the year now, they print up your Facebook.
Yeah. You're at a glance.
Yes, and it's really wonderful. Even with the websites, you can get them right. Does anybody here use Twitter?
I don't. I don't use
Okay,
Facebook.
we won't go into good and bad about Twitter. How about blogging? Nobody?
No.
I read them.
Oh, you read them?
Yeah,
What
I do.
blogs do you read?
Different things. Sometimes blogs about different cooking recipes, or what someone liked and what someone didn't like, and what to try and what not to try.
Right, and that can be a continuing conversation. You would probably be
I've never
good
been
with
a
it.
blogger.
I know, but if you write to the Herald,
Yes.
that would be something. And it's so interesting to get the people's point of view on blogging. You put a statement on, they answer it, you answer, and but it takes too much time.
I was just going to say.
Well, Willie Geist said, I'm pretty sure people are going to start writing letters again once this email fad is over. Do you agree with this prediction? Why or why not?
I don't think it'll ever be over.
I think email, it's
Expanded,
people
if
can get
anything.
get to each other much more quickly. With the other, I think letter writing is a lost art.
You think so?
I hate to say it. I think people are going to forget how to write by the time
They
this
have
fad is
already.
over.
They have already.
They don't teach them cursive in school
They
anymore.
are bringing it back.
Really?
Yeah.
But there's a
it's switch over.
controversy about that too, whether to bring it back or not. You know what I think about? I think about all the letters our founding fathers wrote. If they didn't write them and keep them, how much would we not know about them?
That is so true. And now they're in a museum.
Yeah.
Yes.
Just recently, I was thinking about the program, and we used to do pen pal writing when I was a student.
Yes.
I think this was elementary school, junior high, and my son recently came home. He's 10. He's in 5th grade, and he said, "Mom, we were talking to our pen pals." And I said, "Oh, were you writing letters?" And he says, "No, we have a big smart board in the classroom, and we were actually able to see them on video and say hello to them and talk to them in that way." So I think writing has transformed in a sense. They can actually see the person that they're talking to, and they can communicate. They communicate in a different way. I think that's what it is.
But do you think that is a good thing? I'm curious.
You know, I think that any kind of communication nowadays is a good thing, because the children nowadays, it's funny. It's kind of ironic that there's so many methods of communication, yet they don't communicate.
That's exactly what
because
I was
they're
thinking about.
you know, on the phone,
Right.
but they're not. They could be sitting right next to each other. And
have 1,000
texting to each other. I said, "Why don't you just turn to them and say what you are
have 1,000
texting?"
friends, but none of them are really your close friends.
Okay, Judith Martin said the mistake people keep making is that they find a wonderful new tool, like email, that they have to give up all others. They don't. You have simply added another useful means to your communication repertoire. So keep that in mind. Thank you so much, all of you, for coming. And I'd like to invite everybody to come to the Barn and partake of the many events that take place there, the delicious food, the camaraderie, everything that goes on. The telephone number is at the bottom of the screen. Please call and visit. And God bless each and every one of you, and God bless all, and may there be peace in the world. Amen.